In the studio with me from the city of Brockville, we're talking with Mayor Matt Wren. Welcome.
Welcome, thank you, Doreen. And I'm wearing a suit from Allen Brown, so how about that?
There you go.
Support local.
This is true.
Great local business.
This is Redikoff. So yeah, we're in sync here today. So let's talk about the homelessness here in Brockville. Is it getting better?
Well, it sometimes feels like you take a step forward and two steps back.
Yes.
And, I think the last time we were together, I was talking about some of the advances that have been made in funding and housing and so forth. When we began this term of council in the beginning of 2022, funding comes from the province of Ontario to the United Counties of Leeds, Grenville, with respect to all sorts of different social services programs, but in this case, the homelessness prevention program. And at the beginning of this term, the province was providing a little over $1 million a year, maybe upwards of $1.5 million a year. They immediately increased that in 2022 to about $3.5 million a year. And at the beginning of this year, other than the emergency warming center shelter that we've all been talking about, and we'll talk about more.
Yes.
If you set those beds aside, there were no supportive housing beds in the community.
Okay.
We opened the cabins in February, 25 cabins. Right now, the county is in the process of opening 24 units in the building beside the cabins. And the Heart Hub is coming, which will open early in 2026. So if you compare the beginning of 25 to the first quarter of 2026, we'll have created approximately 100 supportive housing units. We've made a lot of progress. We've had a lot of extra funding, yet when you look out there at what's going on, it feels like it's only getting worse. And that's very difficult for the community to see, and certainly for the people that are struggling with this problem. So I think that tells me that the solutions to these problems are far beyond any municipality solving it. And we certainly hope that at the highest levels of government, and I'm talking about the federal government at this point in time, that a strong focus is placed on this, because this exists from coast to coast in every community.
It does, and it's very, very unfortunate.
It sure is.
And people see it day in and day out. But the other thing that people have to realize too, for those that are asking for the housing, that's one segment of the population. There are people out there that do not want to be helped. They just want to be left alone. And people see that and they think, I want to help you, you're homeless, blah, blah, blah. Well, ask them what they need.
Yeah, true enough. Yeah. It's such a complex issue as I've been learning. And I think our community's really been trying to learn and understand the issue. I hear that in the outreach that I receive from people who are concerned. It seems that we're all trying to understand this phenomenon that, we've never really experienced in our lifetimes before.
No.
But there's tremendously complicated mental health issues there. The addiction to various drugs that people are involved in, drugs that truly ruin lives and destroy families. And it seems when people get caught up in the use of these substances, the ability to come back from that and move beyond it is very, very challenging. And municipalities aren't in the healthcare business. We don't have those resources at the city of Brockville, certainly, and neither does the county. So it's a tremendously complex problem. And so we certainly are very, very happy that the province has agreed to fund the Heart Hub here in Lanark, Leeds, and Grenville. There'll be a site in Smiths Falls and a site in Brockville.
Yes.
And hopefully that kind of focused care will help get people back on their feet. But as you point out, people have to want the help. And that's a challenge in some cases.
It is, and I can understand that. Now, you had mentioned the Heart Hub in Smiths Falls. It will be opening this year, and of course next year here in Brockville. But meanwhile, the Cooperative Care Center is going to be closed as of December 31st by the counties, correct?
Well, I don't know if we should say it's going to be closed by the counties. Really what's happening is the counties is redirecting the funding to other programs that was going to the Cooperative Care Center. It's an independent organization, and it'll be up to their board if they want to continue in some fashion and find the funding to do it. But basically the counties has determined as part of their 10-year housing plan that was approved by the Joint Services Committee and County Council back in the summer that those resources need to be redeployed to get people housed permanently, not in a situation where they're lining up at the end of the day, putting their name in a lottery and hoping to get a bed overnight.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So what are your thoughts then as to the individuals that use the Cooperative Care Center, and it may not be available to some homeless? What happens then?
Sure. Well, I think the most important thing to know is the counties would never have gone down this road. And I don't speak for the counties. Brockville's not part of the United Counties. But my understanding as part of the advisory committee there is that the counties would never go down a road of taking away a resource without a comparable replacement resource. And I know that nobody sits and reads through the agenda packages that come to the other mayors and I before these meetings, but there is a detailed plan in place to assist the people that are using the Cooperative Care Center, those who wish to avail themselves of the help.
Yes.
The counties has places where they can be housed.
Okay.
And some of that's temporary.
Yes.
It's going to rely on some local hotels across the counties, by the way, so that people that are in the far-reaching areas of Leeds-Grenville won't have to come to Brockville for help. They can maybe be helped in their own
area,
communities.
Which is,
and then there are emergency shelter beds already in place. The city turned over that property at the pollution control facility to the counties earlier this year, where the cabins are located.
Yes.
Of the 25 cabins, a number of people have moved through that program into other housing. Gone on to find jobs because they had an address finally, and there's been some real success stories there. Now the building next door to the cabins is ready for accommodation, and the counties is moving people into those 24 units as we speak.
Okay.
So some of the folks that have been using the Cooperative Care Center would be perfect candidates to use the cabins and then move through the continuum.
So it's
So there is a solid plan in place. And yes, people have certainly appreciated everything that the Cooperative Care Center has done. And I fought really hard to try and get an extension to get us through the winter so that the transition would be a little easier. But I think we all have to accept the professional advice we're receiving from the people who are running these programs that, one way or another, whether it's the end of December or the end of March, we are hopefully going to move on to getting people into a more stable housing situation. That's our goal.
Okay, so no one has to worry about being in the cold in the winter.
As one of the people that had to put their hand up, to make these recommendations, I've certainly been assured that if somebody wants help, the counties will provide that help or see that they get it.
Perfect. Thank you for that explanation. Winter's here.
It is.
Yes, it is.
Early.
What do you mean early? Can you not remember years ago we used to have winter early
vaguely.
in October, matter of fact. So now, sidewalks.
Yes.
Did you get any telephone calls about sidewalks not being plowed?
No.
Oh, good for you then, because when I was out and about, there were sidewalks. They were not plowed, and I thought,
we have a system, and it's the winter control policy, and there are thresholds for when the plows go out, and there's a time limit when the city must have them cleared, and we always meet those time limits. So, I think we live in a world where you can go on Amazon and order a product today, and it's on your doorstep tomorrow.
And that's what we expect, right?
Unfortunately, municipal services are not provided by Amazon.
No.
But we do, we have the resources to keep our roads and sidewalks cleared. We have a plan that we follow that's registered with the province of Ontario, and staff can show you the data that we meet the plan.
I'm sure they can. So winter parking, that's coming into effect.
That's right. Yeah, folks, keep your cars off the road at night. Basically, we can't do a good job of cleaning up the streets and sidewalks if people have their cars parked where they're not supposed to be. So we ask that people follow those rules.
And that's at 2:00 till 7.
Correct.
So please make sure you move your vehicle and help out the city workers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, heavens, come on. All right. I read recently where some fees were waived for the volunteer-run Halls of Fame, meaning the Sports Hall of Fame and the Music and Performing Arts. Right away, I thought, okay, they're volunteers. I understand that. But the Brockville Operatic Society the Theatre Guild, they're volunteer too. Why weren't their fees waived?
Sure. Well, many municipalities run recognition programs in their communities. And so the Hall of Fame for Performing Arts and Music, the Hall of Fame for Sports, both honor our citizens in the same sort of way as a Citizen of the Year program or whatnot. But they're very grassroots volunteer groups that have no sources of revenue. The Theatre Guild and the Operatic Society sell tickets to their performances. They have revenue streams. The Halls of Fame don't. So they're taking on this responsibility for the community to honor our citizens for their tremendous contributions. And when they start each year, the first job is they've got to go out and raise enough donations because the city's going to hand them a bill to use the city facility to honor our citizens. And so they've spoken to me over the last few years about the struggles that provides, and that they would rather be focused on providing the recognition program than raising money to pay a bill at the city. And we recognize that. So the motion is very clear that because they're organizations that honor our citizens and take on that responsibility on behalf of the municipality, and that they don't have sources of revenue, that the least that we can do is let them use the city facility for the annual recognition event. So I hope no other group feels disenfranchised, but that's the reason.
I looked up the dates of when the Theatre Guild actually started. 1933.
Yeah, it's tremendous.
Do they not warrant the availability of having access to a facility that they can actually perform in?
Well, Doreen, again, they're putting on shows and selling tickets to those shows. And so, part of the cost of operating the Arts Center, and some of those productions, by the way, are several days in length, tie up the city staff that are involved with operating the Arts Center. And the other side of the coin is, we had a discussion about the Music Theatre a couple of years ago. When that was built, all the costs of operating that space were to be borne by the two organizations. But as costs have gone up and up and up, the city does absorb, I think about 50% of the operating costs of the Music Theatre. So we do support the Theatre Guild and the Operatic Society, just in different ways.
In different ways. Okay. Well, just for our viewers, the Brockville Operatic Society, they were formed in 1952. So they are like over 70 years old.
Absolutely.
And I look at these, these organizations, it's all volunteers that are doing it. And I think they should be recognized for what they're doing to be able to continue this on.
Yeah.
My opinion. Okay, so modular washrooms.
Right.
Why?
Well, there's been an ongoing request in the downtown core for more washroom facilities. If you're an elderly person and you're down at the farmer's market or trying to do some shopping, we've had to lock up City Hall because of some of the issues that we're facing from the first part of this segment. And City Hall's not open in the evening or on weekends anyway. And so to answer that call for more washroom facilities, we have a space, and in this year's budget, we had approved the construction of a small washroom facility. But staff came back to us saying, with all the maintenance and challenges of maintaining washrooms, and you can't have a staff member standing outside every one of these facilities all the time. There's better technology out there today that with automation, there's better security, so staff can be alerted if an issue has occurred. These more expensive facilities are built to be vandalism proof, and I can show you any number of examples of the way that people leave our facilities that I'm sure your viewers don't want to have to see.
It's all right.
And they also are self-cleaning. Plus, they can be digitally controlled to, not be able to be accessed at night, in the middle of the night and so forth. So it's a lot of technology to better manage the facility so that when, your family or my family or our friends or our visitors to Brockville open the door to use the facility, it'll be clean and safe when the door opens, which, regular construction doesn't offer that opportunity. Plus, the land that we're using, really has a better and higher use than hosting a washroom. And, there have been proposals in the past to develop that space. So if that happens again, someone comes along and wants to do a development, this type of building is modular and movable. So we just bring in the crane and lift it up and can
Move
put it
it
on
wherever.
another site. Where a traditionally built building, you'd end up demolishing it.
And how many people will this washroom accommodate?
Well, there'll be 2 units.
With 2 units
yes,
there.
yes.
We still have washrooms on Blockhouse Island, do we not?
Yes.
Why do we not have access to those as opposed to a few yards away, the modular?
Well, it's more than a few yards.
Okay, it's just the
it's quite a hike. And,
it is not.
And winter weather and so
Oh,
forth.
now.
You know,
Now.
so
So
it's-
why don't we just open that up, heat it, and then use what's existing?
Yeah, well, it is there and heated. And pardon me for not knowing the schedule of all the city washroom facilities.
No.
Some of them do have to be closed down in the winter time.
yeah.
I don't believe the James Hall building is one of those. But
It's. I look at
It's
the cost
convenience.
of it. The cost is what? How much is it for the washroom?
well, the project will be about 400,000.
Wasn't there 175 added to that?
No, that includes the 175.
That includes the 175, okay.
We were going to spend over 200,000 for a building that, if we get a development opportunity, would have to be demolished and can't be as tightly monitored, would not be vandalism proof, would not be self-cleaning. And so,
You would always be pouring money into it.
right. And by the
Okay.
way, it was members of council that asked for the information on this better system. I consider it a better system. Staff brought that back. So it was up to council to decide whether to stick with the original plan or move on to something that we think long-term is a better use of public funds.
Okay. Alrighty, last question. The water tower.
Yes.
Is it done? Is it refurbished?
Yes, that's my understanding. It's all done. So for anyone out there that thinks that we put up all this elaborate scaffolding and expended all this money to just put a fresh coat of paint on the outside and a new logo, that's not at all what this was about. The water tower was virtually at the end of its useful life as it stood.
Yes.
The inside of it had to all be fully sandblasted and recoated, as did the outside because there was corrosion taking
Yes.
place. It was lead paint, so that's why that containment system was put in place. You can't just sandblast lead and have lead flying through the air for people to breathe. And a few years ago, this project was kind of put in motion where our choice was to refurbish the water tower for in the 2 millions or replace the water tower for like 8 million. And the choice was made to do the lesser expensive project and try and get a second life out of the structure that already existed. So that's what we
It
did.
had to be done.
Yes. But, really appreciative. The local residents there would have heard a lot of noise and so forth in the
Yes.
daytime. And
Yes.
we appreciate that the noise of construction is no fun for anyone. And then there were some pressure reductions and we'd asked people to sort of conserve because that water tower is an integral part of supplying water to the whole city. But we appreciate everybody's patience as we got through the project.
Thank you for sitting down with me.
It's always a pleasure, Doreen.
Well, hey, it's nice to be able to have a mayor that will come in and sit down and answer my questions and tell us what's happening.
I always try to do my best.